Yeah, greetings viewers. Greetings, Comrade Munyaradzi Angero Savanhu. To this interview, we are focusing on the
Yes, comrade, you can come again. I did not quite get you when you were in. Those are introductory statements.
Okay, we're just welcoming you to the show.
Okay, thank you so much, my leader, Obet Masaraure. I want to really thank you for opening up this space so that we discuss the upcoming launch and the book that we have just written together, Footprints in the Change, the life story of our Honorable Job Sikhala, who is also our brother.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's get into yourself. They are still to
okay.
meet. What did you choose? How are you connected to the life of Job Sikhala
Okay. Firstly, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Munyaradzi Angero Savanhu. To some, I'm new, and to some, I may be somehow, a familiar face. So I was born in 1987 in post-colonial Zimbabwe. And then I grew up in Chueshe. That's where I did my primary school education and my secondary school education. Then came over to Chitungwiza to complete my A-level studies. And then I proceeded to go to Solusi University, where I obtained a theology degree. Then I went to the Great Zimbabwe University for my master's in MA in religion. That's why many people call me pastor. And then I'm an author. I'm an author. I've written 7 books. Honorable Job Sikhala's book, The Footprints in the Chains, the lifestyle of Job Sikhala, is the 8th. The first book is called The Nationalism Gospels. It's an ideological book where I was looking at the concept of nationalism and patriotism from a biblical perspective. And then the next book, because I'm a chaplain as well, I've served as a chaplain for 8 years at an academic institution. So I wrote a manual for parents on how to parent their kids in the 21st century. And the manual is called The Era of the African Child. Then I proceeded to write 4 novels after The Era of the African Child. I wrote a novel which is called The Price of Sugar. Then I wrote another novel, I think, which then introduced me to Honorable Sikhala, which is called The Poor Man's Cartel, because I was sending him my literature when he was in prison. Then I wrote another novel called The Feast of the Bird. And then the last novel is called Shadows on Stone. Then afterwards, I wrote also a devotional that is intended for teenagers, which is called The African Dream. So generally, these are my literary works, and I've served as a chaplain in an academic institution, and I also do part-time lecturing at Triune Institute of Southern Africa, where I teach ancient history, Christian history, then biblical languages, which are Hebrew and Greek, respectively. So generally, that's me. I started knowing Honorable Sikhala when I was in grade 7. My brother Michael Wadula was an activist. He was an MDC activist in St. Mary's, and he would bring some red cards, during the formative years of the movement for democratic change, 1999 to 2000. So he's the one who introduced us to opposition, activism, opposition politics. Then I just, had this, it was just born in me, the interest of knowing the character of Job Sikhala, but I had never met him physically up until the days that we started working on his project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now let's go to the why. Why did you choose?
Why did you choose
now?
Now?
Why now?
Why now?
What is the question? Why
did you choose to write?
Obed, I would want to be honest and upright with you. I have been a follower of Zimbabwean politics for quite some time, ever since I was young, and I've been an enthusiastic student also of opposition politics since the birth of the movement for democratic change up until now. So, when Honorable Sikhala came out of prison, or before he came out of prison, we were those people who were sympathizing with him when he was in prison. And he also tried. He tried when he was in prison to reach out to me because I'm a chaplain. He tried to invite me to come over to Chikurubi so that we could meet in person. But unfortunately, those dreams never saw the light of day. And then when he came out, the noise that was, the noise that went out, we were among those the teams that then mocked, we started by mocking. We were mocking our hero, our returning hero. As every other person was mocking him, we had heard a lot of stories about Job Sikhala when he was in prison, some conspiracy theories, a lot of things. So that is what generated my interest in knowing this character. Why is it that people were now persecuting him when he had been a hero, when he was in prison? So that is what led me to reach out to him. There's a brother of mine who is called Darlington Chigumbu, Honorable Darlington Chigumbu of Kudiro South, who is a member of parliament for Kudiro South. So he bought my books, then he posted them on X. So when he posted them on X, Honorable Sikhala then commented, because I had been sending books to him when he was in prison, and he gave, I think the best comment ever. Then I said, no, I generated a serious interest. Then I said, no, this time around, I would want to, to cover this man's biography. I want to inform the world. I want to tell Job Sikhala's story. And then when I reached out, his arms were open wide. And he said, yeah, young man, please, you can come through. Then we can make sure that this dream sees the light of day. So yes, I was interested. And this desire to write Honorable Sikhala's biography was not only ignited when he was in prison. I can also tell stories when he was when we were young. When I came over to Harare, he would address us at rallies when I was in Zengeza Bay, when I was together with people like Goodrich Chimbaira, Alex Msundire back then. He was just an interesting character, especially to young people who grew up in Chitungwiza or who spent the other part of their lives in Chitungwiza. So that is what led me to go into writing this piece of work.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Now let's look at the architecture. How is the story arranged? In chronological order? Were you following
Okay, when we look at the book Footprints in the Chains, the life story of Job Sikhala, I would want to say this to you, Obed, that this book is an interesting, piece of work. It's not fiction. And I want to say that this book is chronological. But in some other instances, you would see that there were moments when I would then just move from this chronological narration, and then I would talk about Job Sikhala. For instance, when we talk about Job, you see Job, we start from his ancestry. We cover his ancestry. Then after his ancestry, we go straight into Job's life. How he grew up, Job's his childhood years. After his childhood years, then because a lot of people are waiting to hear about Job Sikhala, the political activist. A lot of people are waiting to hear about Job Sikhala, the man in chains. A lot of people are waiting also to hear about Job Sikhala, the man who has been incarcerated by the ZANU-PF regime for over 69 times. So after narrating his childhood years, then we moved over to Job Sikhala, the family man, just to mention his family, because we do not want to, we do not want to spoil, his political life and end it by introducing his family. So then we introduced his family. Then after that chapter, from that chapter, then we start talking about Job's high school years. Then we continue up until now. So it's in chronological order. But when we just introduced the Job the person, Job the man, we then also went ahead to talk about Job the family man, how he has also participated in procreation. So from that, we then take a chronological narration of events up until today.
Yeah, thanks. Just if you do
Come again, I did not quite get you, my leader.
I'm saying just check.
I don't have another gadget. I only have one. I'm only using one.
Okay. So let's go to
this discussion. No, it's not. We only have one.
Yeah, you touched a bit on the identities of Job Sikhala. So I want to say he's a man of more. Do you have when you were writing?
Job Sikhala is
friends, or maybe intersecting. When you were writing, did you ever
come again? You are saying he is a man of more than one wife? Come again. I did not quite hear that one clearly.
I said he's a man of identities.
Or multiple identities, of course. Yes.
So when you were writing, do you have instances identities or even a time that you had to reconcile the identity, or even things
Okay, I can't correctly hear you, but let me try to respond to what you have said, my leader over there. Number one, it is very true that Job Sikhala is a man of multiple identities. Because right from the onset, you see a young man who is enthusiastic, a young man who is who is humble, a young man who is not I'm trying to avoid the word stubborn. He is not stubborn. He is a man who is actually meek. His background is humble. He is somebody who could be sent, and he would go, he would do errands. He is somebody who was cooperative when he was young. He is somebody who could faithfully do household chores, even against his will. When he was young, you could see Job Sikhala, a man who would never, who would never return a blow for a blow. Because when he was young and he had in cattle, there was a time when he was hit by an axe on the head. And guess what? He did not even revenge. That's the Job Sikhala that we see from childhood. Then as we move upwards, we are beginning to see a Job Sikhala who is also allowing, right, some invaders. Because there's a moment when we see when they caught an animal, a jaguar, when they were young, and somebody came away and came and he confiscated that jaguar. But Job Sikhala never fought back up until his father came through. When his father Andrew came through, he's the one who taught them actually to fight for that which rightfully belonged to them. Then we begin to see a Job Sikhala who is a fighter. Then during his primary years, we see another different person altogether. A Job Sikhala who is brilliant and attentive in school, but then he mixes that with brawls at school. He mixes that with early childhood mischief. But you see, he's when he was going to school, he was actually a walking contradiction. We are seeing a Job Sikhala who is serious about school, serious about sport, but at the same time, he is also serious about mischief at school. You see, then afterwards, we begin to see a Job Sikhala who is interested in national politics. We also see a Job Sikhala who is also suffering. But as he is suffering, we also see a Job Sikhala who is fighting for those that are in chains. That's why we decided to call this name, to give this book the title Footprints in the Chains. Because we are also seeing a Job Sikhala who is in chains, but he is also fighting for fellow prisoners who are in chains. Even at school, he is rising up to fight for those that are being, allow me to use the word oppressed, because I've used oppressed in this book, countless times. Fighting for the rights of fellow students, even when he himself was not going through this type of high school oppression. So that's the Job Sikhala. And now, when he joins national politics, we see different identities as well. We see Job Sikhala, who is a fighter. We also see a Job Sikhala who is brave, up to the point of being termed one who had Dutch courage. When he joined opposition, when he joined the MDC during then, we are also seeing a Job Sikhala who is being mocked, jeered at, but he doesn't raise a fist to fight his brothers. You see, this man has suffered even in the hands of his fellow brothers, but he's one person who will never fight a brother. Because when we were covering his story, when we were doing the interviews, Job Sikhala is one person who will never want to soil one person's name, even if he has suffered injustices from such people. So he is a man of different identities, but at the same time, you see this vigor and exuberance, and he is keen. You see this Job Sikhala who is serious about his work, but a Job Sikhala who never wants to return a blow for a blow, especially when it comes to fighting his brothers. So this is a man, even when he went to prison and he came out, he never wanted to soil those that participated in sending him to prison, apart from the ZANU-PF regime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now let's go maybe
to the ideologies.
Maybe philosophy.
Political philosophy.
When you were writing, does Job Sikhala that can define society?
Neoliberalism.
There are a lot of people. The world is desperate.
The world is desperate. To make things happen.
What would you as some of the states ideologies that you might need to make philosophy of Job?
Right. Now, Mkoma Obet, let me introduce you to Job Sikhala. The Job Sikhala that the world doesn't know. Number one, Job Sikhala can never be a capitalist, because from childhood years, we are seeing a Job Sikhala who loves sharing. We are seeing a Job Sikhala who will fight for the other person, even if there are no personal interests. We are seeing a Job Sikhala who is prepared to put his life on the line, you know, for the survival of others, even if it jeopardizes his life. I'll give you some few examples. You see, when we look at Job Sikhala in 2000, now let's look at Job Sikhala, the legislator. 2000, after having won the parliamentary elections in St. Mary's, he then declares, Job Sikhala, to the people of St. Mary's, that I will never leave you, as they were celebrating after his victory. I will never leave the people of St. Mary's. Whatever that you eat is what I will eat. What the water that you drink is the same water that I also drink. The same problems that you face in St. Mary's are the same problems that I also face. I will live my entire life here and die here. I am not like the other politicians who, after winning, they choose to go to the affluent suburbs of Harare. You see, since then, up until today, Job lives in a humble house in St. Mary's, amongst the peasants of St. Mary's. Drinking, I also drank the same water as I was covering his story. Drinking the same water, facing the same problems, mixing and mingling with the people of St. Mary's. So I don't know if we were to come up with a proper ideology. If I say socialism, if I say communism, these things will not fit. They will not best describe Job Sikhala. But you know what? Me being somebody who loves the Bible that much, who loves reading the Bible, I'll say Job Sikhala is a type of Jesus Christ who lays down his life for the salvation of others. After 2000, let's now look at, let me pick another scenario. There was a time during the COVID-19 pandemic when those people were arrested. He then went to represent more than 170 people for free. Being a lawyer, Job was the lawyer. He represented people for free. Then let's also look at the more Blessing Ali case. The one, or the situation, the one that then led him to the 595 unjust pre-trial incarceration at the behind the dreaded Chikurubi maximum security prison. You see, we are seeing Job Sikhala who is prepared to fight for the people pro bono, even for nothing, for nothing. So there is a statement that he also said to me. He was quoting the words of Nelson Mandela, and he was saying, young brother, my young brother, politics is a thankless job. Whenever you participate in politics, participate based on your conviction. Never ever expect anyone to come and say thank you to you. That's the type of man that we are talking about. No ideology will best describe this man, but I can only say this here is a man who is prepared to lay down his life for the betterment of this nation, for the betterment even of this world. With people like Job Sikhala, this world will become a better place. This is what I've discovered as I was writing about Job Sikhala. He was persecuted, but he continued fighting for the freedoms of the people. And Job Sikhala, I can simply say, he is a man that the Zimbabweans, he is a man that the Africans, he is the man that the world desperately needs.
Thank you so much for that. Maybe we put our viewers footprints in the change by Munyaradzi Angero, who is my guest, If you have any questions for him, we'll be able to ask the question. Back to you, Mkoma. Now, when you were
yes,
did you face any challenges? Some information, some interviews, access of archive. What was the research process?
Okay. Before I respond to that, I wanted to add another point to your previous question. One thing that I can say is that Job Sikhala is a pure Democrat. He is somebody who doesn't coerce people to like him. he is also somebody who believes truly in the democratization of this nation. Now, as I was researching, now coming to this, to your question, as I was researching, number one, you know, a lot of information when we are covering biographies is lost when we are covering the story of a deceased person. You see, because we are now basing on the information that was written by others. So the first, you know, the method that I used, I reached out to him, to Job, because I wanted to cover at least 99.9% of his history from the horse's mouth. Then secondly, I also researched from his, you know, from his peers, those that grew up with him, you know, childhood friends, high school friends, college friends, to authenticate the information that I was also receiving. Then I also reached out to his family, you know, to his family, to his relatives. Then I also researched from articles and newspapers that were writing about Job Sikhala. Then even court cases that were talking about Job Sikhala. So the work was actually arduous. It was hectic, but at the end of the day, we can now celebrate and say, now we have covered Job Sikhala's story.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about how are the preparations going? What are the preparations?
You know, I'm quite happy for the first time Goma Obet. That you know, when I talk about the launch now, I'm quite excited, but I'm you know, I'm scared at the same time. Was when you look at this work, when you look at Job Sikhala's book, it's a book that brings tears to you. It's a book, you know, it's a book that drives you to anger. It's a book that brings you to action. I haven't forgotten your question. I'm coming to your question. You know, it's a book. It is some, you know, some parts where you burst out in laughter. It's a book where you see the nakedness of the injustice in our land. It's a book where you see the nakedness of the brutality in our motherland. You know, it's a book that calls for action. But I'm quite happy now that the one who forwarded this book is none other than the former president of Botswana, President Ian Khama, Seretse Khama. So when we reached out to him saying, President, Honorable, we have a project here about Job Sikhala. The whole world knows about Job Sikhala. But we pray that you forward this book. And he forwarded the book. After forwarding the book, then we also reached out to him and said, President, are you able to come now and launch the book that you forwarded? And President Ian Khama agreed to that. So I can now safely say that President Khama is our guest of honor at the launch, which is happening on the 27th of June in the year of our Lord 2025. The place is called Sapez Trust. That's Pan Africa, number 4 Jiri Avenue. It belongs to Dr. Ibo Mandas. Sapez Trust on the 27th of June. And, the launch is starting at 5 p.m. and it's ending around 8 p.m. So there are some other notable speakers who are coming to speak at that particular launch. You know, Job Sikhala's colleagues, political colleagues, high school colleagues. A lot of people are coming through just to offer some statements concerning how, you know, to talk about the life of Job Sikhala. But our guest of honor is none other than President Ian Khama, Seretse Khama, and there will also be a lot of other speakers, including his brothers, especially in the brother that he has shared some life experiences with in his political journey. Yeah, that's the launch. But the preparation so far, I can safely say the book has been printed and it's there. It's now ready. We are now waiting for people who come through to buy the book. Those that are pre-ordering their copies, they are doing so. They are sending their monies and are, you know, preserving or keeping safely their copies. And we have got 2 types of copies. The first copy is called the executive copy. The executive copy is a customized copy. You see, it is a hardcover that has got it will have possibly, if you want an executive copy, we'll write Obet Masaraure on the hardcover. Then we'll write the title of the book on the hardcover. Then as you go into the book, then there is the what do you call it? This other cover. What do you call it? Now I'm forgetting. I have written books. You know, this other cover, right? After the cover, then we go inside again. There is a customized message to you, customized personal message from Job Sikhala to you and signed by him. And this one goes for anything above $100. Then there is the ordinary copy. So I have two types of copies. I thought of sharing this information with you as we talk also about this launch. But everyone else who has been invited is now ready to come to the launch. And a lot of people have been given even their invitation cards, maybe saved for a few who are saying you've left us out. But I can say, yes, this thing has been fully subscribed.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you so much, Diana. $50 for the $100 Now, yes. You did not
I did not hear that question correctly. I want to respond to it correctly. Can you please come again?
The structure of the book from the first chapter
Thank you. Let me just give you a skeleton of the book. We begin by introducing Job Sikhala, where he comes from. Job Sikhala is a descendant of someone. So we talk about his ancestry. After his ancestry, then we move over. We talk about his childhood. We talk about Job Sikhala, the family man. Then we close this chapter. Then we move again. We are now talking about his education. After his primary school, high school days, then we are tracing where his political ideology or his political consciousness was birthed and how it has kept him, how it has also raised him. Then we move to Job Sikhala during high school days. Then afterwards, we move to Job Sikhala at the when he was a Job Sikhala, the Job Sikhala Reverend. There's a chapter just called Reverend Sikhala, when he wanted to become a pastor and how those dreams failed. Then we move again. We talk about Job Sikhala, the teacher, right? After Job Sikhala, the teacher, then we proceed and we then talk about Job Sikhala at the prestigious University of Zimbabwe, having joined student politics. Then there is a chapter which is called Zinasu, the birth of Zinasu. You know, the Zinasu Revival Congress, how Zinasu came to be what it is today, how it was birthed. Their participation together with people like Lenmo Jongwe, Tabagwa Msekiwa, Fortune Mbunina, Daniel Molokele, and many others. Then, from their days at Zinasu, they moved to the formation of the National Constitutional Assembly, the NCA, right? Which then gave birth to the movement for democratic change in 1999. Then from the movement for democratic change, we are now looking at Job Sikhala, the legislator, 2000 and beyond. Then we're also looking at famous statements that were made by the late President Morgan Tsvangirai. Statements like, there is a chapter where we start with these words. And what we would like to tell Mugabe today is that please go peacefully. If you don't want to go peacefully, then we will remove you violently. We are tracing those words, those statements. Where did they come from? And we are looking at Sikhala's participation, especially during those days when Tsvangirai was deemed by the government of Zimbabwe to have uttered a treasonous statement. Then we trace also how, you know, there are some battles there. Battles like the Battle of Rushinga Tenov, you know, battles like the Battle of Bikita West, battles like the Battle of Marondera East, the battles that he participated in, the battles like the Battle of also of Kwazana, where Job nearly faced death, about 4, when he was having an encounter series with the armed people, and he was able to survive. And moments when he was also changed, and we're also looking at, inside Mugabe's torture chambers. When he was tortured, he took some 4 steps of torture when he was severely tortured. Then afterwards, we also move and we look at the MDC split and how Job Sikhala participated in the MDC split of 2005. Then after the MDC split, we proceed again. We are looking at the chapter, the 2008 harmonized elections. And then that's why we are launching the book on the 27th of June, because it is reminiscent of what happened in Zimbabwe. The long sleeve and short sleeve, the events that were happening then, and how Job Sikhala also participated together with his friends. Then we also proceed to talk about the GNU, the days of the global, the GNU, the Government of National Unity. Then we proceed with the MDC 99. After that, we proceed again. We look at the 2013 elections, right? And how Job Sikhala was incorporated back into the MDC after having spent almost 8 years away from the shadows of the MDC. Then we move ahead to look at how the MDC alliance came into being and how Job Sikhala also participated. Then we also look at the Congress of 2019. Then and how Job Sikhala also participated in the MDC alliance Congress of 2019. Then we proceed again to talk about how the MDC alliance was captured and the subsequent formation of the Citizens Coalition for Change, the CCC, and how then Job Sikhala was arrested, during the COVID-19 era, and then how then he was taken to the dreaded group maximum prison, the 595 days incarceration, and then the trials that then ensued. And then we move on to Job Sikhala after prison. How then he went ahead to form this group, the National Democratic Working Group, the challenges that he faced, and then his visits to the to places like when he addressed the Geneva Summit. Even some of the cases are also written therein. Then afterwards, we proceed to look at the present Job Sikhala, his aspirations and his dreams. Then we close with the appendix section where we document, we write about those people that were in the Hall of Fame at the Harvest House, those people that were murdered by the brutal ZANU-PF regime since 1999 up to present. So we have a section where we just document those names of the people who have been brutally murdered in the struggle for democracy in Zimbabwe. So that's the structure of the book.
Yeah, it sounds like a book, and we are out of time. The launch of this book at 5 p.m. at Subway Trust. You can buy a copy. $100 for the ordinary copy. Munyaradzi,
I can say I have written books. This is what I told him last time when I met Honorable Sikhala. I said I've written books myself, and I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of political material. I've also read a lot of biographies. But this book, Mukoma Obed, this book is a different book. And I know that the world has been waiting for this book. This book exposes thoroughly the brutality, the injustice, the state of the nation, and how some other key government parastatals have been captured, and how some progressive democratic voices are being silenced in this nation. So this book is a must read for anyone who wants to know, the democratic revolution, the democratic struggle in this nation. It is a must read for everyone who wants to know how both the old and the new dispensation treat those with the divergent views. This book is a must read for anyone who is interested in the well-being of Zimbabwe. This book is a must read for everyone, even beyond our borders. This book is a must read for everyone who is a patriot, a true patriot. So this is a must read for everyone. Given an option, I would say this book should become compulsory both in primary and high schools, because I would likely want to, to put this book on the same shelf with Nelson Mandela's book, The Long Walk to Freedom, and Chris Han's book as well. So it's a must read for everyone who is interested, in the well-being of our nation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. The True Patriot platform is an independent media platform. It is a platform to promote the voices of those who speak out against injustice. And we look forward to and we urge people to support projects that have been announced by government. Footprints in the chains. The story of Job Sikhala belongs to the 27th of June at 5 a.m. Thank you so much, everybody. For those this is the True Patriots platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mamsoro ana mai, emo atungamiri venyika, ndiri kuchema.